Today, we're going to discuss the true signs that twin flame separation is almost over. How can we tell that these are the true signs that twin flame separation is almost over? And I will go a little bit further into depth about what twin flames are and how these signs work, kind of maybe things that you can do to even cause separation to end. That's always good to not limit yourself to the belief that it's part of some destiny or that it was meant for me. And I hope I get chosen. Please show me the signs that I'm chosen to be in union with my twin flame. And that's just not how it works, because I'm here to let you know that you are your twin flame. And if you are them, don't you think you can do something about it? And that does not make sense to a lot of people, because they're going, how can I be them? That doesn't make any sense. I'm them? How does that work? No, really, you are. So on the internet, there's a lot of differing information, a lot of differing opinions about what to do about your twin flame. And they're so vastly different sometimes you can't even figure out if there is a core to this. Like, what is true? Right? Like, what is the core truth here? But the one thing everybody does agree on is that it's one soul in two bodies. And that is literally true. And we're going to talk about this little diagram in a minute. But let's go over the signs first. I'm just going to list them off, and then we'll go further into depth. So the first sign is that you haven't given them a thought in ages. You haven't given them a thought in ages. And then they're going to pop up in your reality. They're going to want to talk to you. They might even unblock you. You've probably heard that you got to detach, right? Well, there you go. And I'll even give you some tools to do that. I am the world's leading twin flame coach, over 5,500 students to date. Maybe I know a thing or two. Sign number 2, samadhi. Samadhi. Satori is related to that. Satori, samadhi, they are similar. And I'm even going to give you some tools, a documentary that you can watch, some books to read. You can go check out my free coaching videos. I've got paid coaching that you can sign up for. It's not a lot of money. I even have payment plans. You can start for like 65, 70 bucks. It's 6 payments. But even if you pay in full, it's still like 400 bucks. And you get a lot of stuff, guys. I hook it up really, really fat for the money you're paying. It's not thousands. And then there's a whole bunch of free stuff all over my channel, and I'll even give you some free resources today in this video. The next sign is a knowing that they're coming back. And I'm serious. I'm not talking about an understanding. That's the mind. I'm talking about a knowing. It's intuitive. And I'll tell you exactly what that feels like. Because if you're going, well, how do I know if I'm experiencing the knowing? Right. No, I've got a really clever way to explain that to you. You're going to love it. So those are the signs. Now, let's first talk about why these are the signs. So I'm going to kind of explain twin flames to you, what it really is, and how you can tell that what I'm going to tell you is what twin flames really are. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. If it sounds like, oh yeah, he's really arrogant. He thinks he knows the answer. Well, I do know the answer. Guys, there's a reason I'm number 1. I figured it out, okay? I cracked the code. And when I tell you what it is, you're going to go, oh, yeah, that does make sense. Yeah. And it's very liberating because, guys, we already know the answer. We already know what the soul is. Your twin flame is your soul. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. And by the way, when you look around on the internet, most of the time, and I'm not putting anybody down, I know everybody's just trying to figure out how all this shit works, and it's confusing, and you don't know who to listen to. But let's be honest here, most of the time when you look at twin flame information on the internet, it's not twin flame information. It's like soulmates. They're going to tell you to do all this weird new agey stuff like healing and clearing karma and balancing your inner feminine and masculine and clearing your chakras. And then they want $3,000 for clearing your chakras. And it doesn't even work. It like makes it worse. You know how many times I've had a student come to me and go, yeah, man, I spent $7,000 and it just made the obsessive thinking worse. Oh my God. Guys, just go watch my free videos. Shit. I even have a playlist on this channel. It's called The True Twin Flame Teachings. And again, I'm not trying to put anybody down. I don't think I'm better than anybody else, but gosh, dude, somebody already figured it out. What is the soul? How does reincarnation work? There's 2 incarnations of your soul going on. That's all this is. We already know this stuff. If you go look around on YouTube for a while for videos about soul families, and not your YouTube. Like, if you use your YouTube, you're going to get a bunch, maybe not a bunch, but you might get a couple of twin flame results. So just go to incognito mode. On your phone, on the YouTube app, you can switch it to incognito mode. You go to the little menu in the upper right, where it's the little, like your picture. You click on that and then look for incognito mode. And then look for soul families. And you should find somebody with this diagram, and they don't even know what a twin flame is. But you don't need to know what a twin flame is. Guys, your twin flame is your soul. So in this video, we're going to talk about what is the soul. That's all you need to know. This is ancient Zen spiritualism. And even a lot of the terminology that's in this so-called twin flame community came right out of the Tao, Buddhism, ancient Christianity. Interesting, interesting. Yeah, guys. This is actually not hard to figure out. So this is your past life in the year 1750, let's just say. This is 1870, present day. There's you and your twin, and then there's your reincarnation in the future. And this is the higher self in heaven, the afterlife, the energy part of the universe, whatever you want to call that. That's all this is, guys. Now, to understand the mechanics of this, you could go watch my video called What Are Twin Flames? And I break down like how the duality of mind affects this. Again, this is an ancient spiritual teaching. The mind is duality. You could even ask a psychologist. I've had psychologists tell this to me. So I feel good, I feel bad. So emotions, I feel there's good and there's bad. Plus, minus. I like it, I don't like it. It's past, it's future. It's here, it's there. Me, you. So the mind is duality, and they call that separation consciousness in ancient Zen spiritualism. Does that sound familiar? Separation. There's me and there's my twin. And the mind is only capable of perceiving that there is this other. And the illusion of physical reality makes it look such. You got to go beyond the separation consciousness of mind, beyond the duality of mind. Again, this is an ancient Zen spiritual teaching. Not the junk food spiritualism, which the internet is jammed full of. No, traditional Zen spiritualism. Don't reinvent the wheel, guys. You don't need to do that. You don't need to do that. Again, I don't think I'm better than anybody. I'm just pointing out, like, we already know what this stuff is, guys. That's why my coaching works. You can go watch my free coaching and try it out. Some of the things that I talk about. You don't have to give me any money. And you're going to get some results. You will. You will. Okay, so that's the mind. Now, union. So we talked about separation consciousness. That's when you derive your sense of self from the mind. Ego, personality, the mind, right? Separation consciousness. Again, Buddhism, the Tao, Ram Dass, Eckhart Tolle, Jesus. These are terminologies. If you go to incognito mode on your YouTube and just type in separation consciousness, you're probably going to get a whole bunch of other spiritual teachers talking about it, and they don't even know what twin flames are, and then me, because I've done a video about it, right? And I actually found one other person a couple of years ago that was talking about it in the context of twin flames too. And he didn't have very many subscribers, but I was like, well, there you go. I'm not the only person that noticed, right? Like, I don't really think I'm special. I just kind of noticed, you know, that this terminology is there. And I'm like, why are we using that terminology? Okay, union. What about that word? Union. Well, where did that come from? Unity consciousness. Again, not a twin flame terminology. It comes from ancient Zen spiritualism. Unity consciousness, which is where you transcend, detach. There's another word that we hear all the time, right? You transcend, you detach from the mind, from the ego personality, and you enter the consciousness of soul. Remember, body, mind, soul. Body, mind, soul. We just talked about the mind. Mental, emotional, conceptual, works on duality, right? Now the soul is consciousness. Consciousness is not thought. Consciousness is the awareness of thought. It's being. It's Zen. That's the soul. So you go beyond the mind and you remember that you already are consciousness. There's thoughts and feelings going on. And then you're there going, why am I thinking that? You remember when you were having the obsessive thinking with your twin flame? God, how can you forget? God, oh my God, it's so intense. Jesus. It's like it's happening to you. It's torture. God, I've never experienced anything like it. You can't turn it off. It's insane. Like your mind will not stop no matter what. And one day you get out of bed and you're like, wait a minute, why is this happening? Why won't my mind shut the fuck up? Well, right, who's asking? Well, you noticed the mind. That's the whole point. That's why that happens. Your soul is trying to get you to remember that you're the noticer. You are consciousness, awareness. Right. Is this starting to make sense? Yeah, hell yeah, this is making sense. So let's go back to the signs. Number 1, you haven't given them a thought in ages. Well, that, I think, pretty much covers it right there. Now, that's not to say that you can't ever think of them, but you're shifting your focus inward. So even if the mind does think about them, you are clear that you are not the mind. So it doesn't matter if thinking occurs. This is a remembrance of who you are. There's another thing. Like if you go watch Eckhart Tolle videos, he probably doesn't even know what twin flames are, right? But he's going to be talking about a remembrance of who you are. Or Rupert Spira, you transcend the separate self. There's that word again, separate. Separation. The ego personality is the separate self, Rupert Spira. Lots of people call it that. This is ancient Zen spiritualism. The twin flame journey is just the true spiritual journey. That's all it is, guys. That's all. You are your twin flame. You're a soul. Okay, the second sign was Satori and Samadhi, right? So there's a movie I want you to go watch. So here's some tools I'm going to give you. Now we're cooking, right? Now we're getting somewhere. You're like watching the video and you're like, oh, fuck, hook it up. Yeah, I am going to hook it up, dude. I want you to feel better and I want you to get your twin flame to come back. Okay, there's a film on YouTube called Samadhi. S-A-M-A-D-H-I. Samadhi. S-A-M-A-D-H-I. It's on YouTube. It's free. There's 3 parts. Make sure to watch part 1 first. Don't skip around. If you go to part 2 or something, it won't make sense. Start with part 1. It's only an hour long. It's free. It's on YouTube. Check it out. You're going to watch it and you're going to go, oh, this is what's happening to me. It's going to blow your mind. It's so good, guys. It's amazing. It'll change your life. Okay. Number 2, go watch my twin flame coaching videos. Just watch 10. Just go to the True Twin Flame Teachings playlist on this YouTube channel. Just watch 10 or 12 of those. Really, watch 10 before you decide. You're going to decide by the time you get through like 3 of them. Maybe this video. Yeah, I am different, guys. And I'm not saying that to brag or anything. I don't think I'm better than anybody else, guys. But I figured it out, okay? I cracked the code. I noticed that the sun rises in the east. And I don't even think I'm the first person that figured this out. But I figured it out on my own. I looked out the back door at 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm looking east at 6 o'clock in the morning, and there's the sun coming up over the horizon. I guess the sun rises in the east. Yeah, your twin flame is your soul, dude. It's really simple. It's awesome. Knowledge is power. Okay, here's the other thing you can do. Start reading The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. You want to get your twin flame to come back? You want them to unblock you? You want to shut down the obsessive thinking? Go watch Eckhart Tolle videos. An Eckhart Tolle video a day keeps the obsessive thinking away. Go watch those Eckhart Tolle videos. He's got a whole bunch of them, guys. Michael Singer, he's got a couple of great books. One of them is called Untethered Soul. It's just like The Power of Now. And there's also the channels section on my YouTube channel. Guys, the free shit that I give you, I'm hooking it up. Hook it up, Kurt. Give me all these resources. Yeah, dude, go to the channels section of my YouTube channel. Go watch those YouTube channels. You don't need to watch Twin Flame stuff. Watch my Twin Flame videos and then the other spiritual teachers I have recommended in the channels menu of this YouTube channel, my YouTube channel. Okay, so now sign number 3. Satori, or no, let me wrap this up. Satori Samadhi, I just told you, go watch that documentary film first. Do that tonight. You're gonna get it. It's like Zen. It's like Nirvana. It's this feeling. It's like your mind shuts off and you feel euphoric. So go watch the Samadhi movie and you're gonna know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. Sign number 3. The knowing. Oh, this one is so cool. You guys are gonna love this. Okay. So, you ever had deja vu? Of course you have. Everybody has. Deja vu and intuition are the same thing. They just have different words because I guess the layperson who gave the experience of deja vu a special word did not realize where that was coming from. Okay? So, let me grab this diagram again here. So, the soul in the energy part of the universe, the oversoul, the higher self, it's beyond time. And even quantum physics and relativity tells you that these higher dimensions, if it is true, that's where you go when you do the thing that we call die, then yeah, you would be in a place, so to speak. You would be on a higher plane, P-L-A-N-E, which is beyond time. So all of these places that you are, past, present, and future, these lower forms of the separate self, when you incarnate into a body, each one of those experiences the illusion of time because you're in density, you're in the lower dimensions, in the 3-dimension. But when you go beyond that, when you do the thing that we call die and you're up here, there is no time. So all of these things are all happening at the same time from the perspective of the higher self. That's really how that works. And the mind isn't able to understand that, like what that would look like, because it's linear. It's finite. But what I'm telling you is ultimately you are infinite. Okay? And that's really how this works. Even science is saying that from these higher planes, there is no time. That's why quantum physics works the way it does. That's why the double slit experiment works the way it does, for example, or the Heisenberg uncertainty principle. All of these things. So you could even, instead of saying this is 1750, 1870, present day, and future, you could say, well, this was 10 years ago, this was 6 weeks ago, this is today, this is later today, and this is tomorrow. So this is one incarnation, all of these different little circles, but just different points in time in your current life, right? And so when you get to this part and you feel this weird, eerie sense that you've done this before, you experience it as this knowing. And you're like, why do I feel like I've done this before? What the fuck? And they call that deja vu, right? It's because you have done it before. The soul in heaven is pinging you. Kind of like when you, like the figure of speech that we use when we, if you tell someone, hey, ping me later, hit me up, text me, right? Ping me later, right? Like that, like your soul is pinging you. It's going, hey, what's up? You're where you're supposed to be. You're good. You're right where you're supposed to be. That's what the soul is doing. Now, that opens up the whole can of worms about destiny and the whole bit about meant for me, and the thing that is causing confusion is the illusion of time. If you want to go down that rabbit hole, fine. I even made a video about it. Just go to YouTube and type in the search bar, New World All-Star Science of Destiny. New World All-Star Science of Destiny, and watch that video where I explain the reason it feels like destiny and meant for me is because of the illusion of time. Again, when you cross that barrier and you go down into density, into the 3D, you do experience linear time. But when you're up here in the higher dimensions, you're way beyond that. Everything's happening all at the same time, so to speak. So yeah, your soul is telling you you've done this before because you have. And it doesn't make sense to the mind. That's the thing that's, guys, this is like, this kind of weird like dichotomy. It seems like a contradiction, but it's not. They call it a dichotomy. You could call it a contradiction, but it turns out, no, it really does work that way. And because it really does work that way, then it's not a contradiction. It's something else. And they have a word for that. And that word is dichotomy, right? And in quantum physics, they're kind of like used to that. Like all these weird things that seem to contradict one another, but they both are happening. So how can this be? We have to reconcile. And they do. And they found out that, no, this is how this shit really works. Like your mind can't understand non-linearity because it is linear. But they can demonstrate a lot of this shit mathematically on paper and in the laboratory. It's fucking weird how this shit works, how the universe works. So this is stuff that we already know, guys. So now that's deja vu. Now what does this have to do with knowing that your twin flame is coming back? Well, remember what I told you at the beginning when I described the signs. I said, you're going to know that they're coming back, and I want to communicate. I have a clever way to explain to you what that knowing feels like. Because here's the thing. Intuition, knowing, not thinking, not understanding, but knowing feels just like deja vu. Why? Because it's coming from the same place. It's coming from the same place. So, once again, deja vu, it's this weird, eerie knowing that I've done this before. How can I know that? And the questions, how do I know that? How do I know I've done this before? That's a mental, that's the mind. Remember, body, mind, soul. So there's the mental dialogue, the mind, and there's the knowing. There's the knowing that I've done this before, and there's a mental dialogue. That's two different things going on, guys, because they're coming from two places, right? So the knowing that your twin flame is coming back is the same thing. Same exact thing, right? It feels exactly the same, okay? And for some reason, somebody made a separate category for deja vu because they didn't realize what was happening to them. But it's exactly the same. You are not your mind. You are the soul. And the soul is experience. It's experiencing. So this knowing that your twin flame is coming back is information. The mind is information too. But the mind is duality. So you could be getting information that's correct or incorrect. Correct or incorrect. Duality. Yin, yang. Alpha, omega. Correct, incorrect. Mental information. Concept. The mind. Questions. How do I know this is happening? And it's not you questioning. It's the mind. You just believe that you are the mind. Most people do. Most people believe that they are this personality, ego, this narrative, this story, thoughts, questions, emotions. And I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying that's what that is. That's the separate self, the mind. But when you go deeper, you experience something. Consciousness, knowing. And whenever you get one of these intuitive hits, it's information that you experience. Now, the soul is non-duality. The soul is non-duality. And again, ancient Zen spiritual teachers, there's another terminology that you're going to come across all the time. Non-duality. The mind is duality, the soul, consciousness, non-duality. The mind, mental, emotional, conceptual, duality, thought. The soul, non-duality, consciousness, and that's it. But when you get a message that you experience, that weird, eerie knowing, it's information too. So whereas the mind could be correct or incorrect information, the soul is only correct. So you can just disregard the questions, the thinking, all of that. You're experiencing information. I feel it. How do I know I've done this before? Deja vu. Or how do I know they're going to come back? Intuition or something else. I get intuitive hits all the time about all kinds of things, right? But the reason I'm using deja vu to explain this to you is because everybody's experienced that, and I'm trying to make it really clear what that feels like. It's like you feel it in your torso. You feel this knowing, and the mind is going, yeah, how do I know that? That's not you, that's the mind, and that's okay. That's what it's for. But the mind is what is questioning. Again, the mind can cast doubt. That's why it is questioning. Or the mind can be certain. I'm certain, I doubt. Duality, the mind. So you can just disregard the doubt and the questions and trust the knowing. Okay? And again, it feels exactly the same as deja vu. It feels just like that. Same kind of sensation that you get in your body, right? It's this weird, eerie information that comes across. And you just trust that. You just trust that. Let go of the questions. The mind is just trying to do its job by thinking, I guess. But you don't need to do anything about the mind. You don't need to make it stop. You transcend the mind, actually. It's not that the mind ever stops thinking. You just remember who you are. You're the consciousness who is aware of the mind. This is a remembrance. Okay, this is your spiritual awakening. Like I said, the twin flame journey is really just the true spiritual journey. That's all this is. That's all this is. So there you go, guys. I just gave you the keys to the kingdom. I hooked it up with a bunch of free resources. There's also my paid coaching. It's not a lot of money, and you get a lot of stuff. Check it out, guys. Hope you're having a great week out there. And I'll be back next week for another awesome twin flame coaching video. Thank you for watching. See you next time.